Okay, we're back with another Tavern Tales. This episode is going to focus primarily on how to basically use abandoned and rejected characters in order to um, spice up your games. So I'll just give you a few examples, and we'll see what happens after the cut. Okay, so basically, here's the premise. Anyone who's played tabletop games enough will eventually start to create characters whom they are less than enthusiastic about. You know, I'm talking a barbarian whose stats are rolled in such a way that they would be better being a wizard than a barbarian, or they would be better in being a cleric or druid than being a fighter. And I say, instead of throwing these characters away, save the character sheets or use them for a campaign or two and see what happens. And I know people get angry, you know, they're like, I don't like to play these characters. Another way you'll get these rejected characters is occasionally people will play a tabletop game and they're like, I just don't like this character. Don't throw away the sheet, save it, and for a rainy day. And then you can have an adventure that you have to adjust how you play entirely in order to make it into a deeper experience. So without much ado, I'm going to give you some examples of when I've either done this as a DM or done this as a player, and we'll see what happens. So one of the prime examples of this was I played I didn't play. I basically DM'd a monster-based campaign. So basically, everyone in the party were monsters. And I mean, you know, I was game for anything, but the people who were involved with this were like, yeah, we want to play a game where we play as monsters. So basically, I took index cards, I mixed them up, and I was like, okay, pick a card, any card. And there were like 5 characters, 5 people playing. I have 5 cards. And basically, a lot of people were forced to play as monsters that weren't really conducive to their traditional style of play. So someone who's normally a tank was playing as a goblin. Someone who was normally a wizard was playing as a magicless hobgoblin. Someone who was more into like druid type stuff was playing as a bugbear. That type of thing. And basically, over the course of the game, they got a new appreciation of playing as those types of things. So much now that this same group of people, every once in a while, will play a monster-based campaign. Basically, it forces you to think deeper and to be more, circumspect and respectful of character classes and typing and matching. It also forces gamers to actually role play and actually be aware of, okay, this is a role. This character is able to do this. This character is able to do that. You actually have to pay attention to these things. It's not just you throwing things around and just rushing into things. So the person who was playing a goblin actually had to use goblin-like abilities. He actually had to use, the strengths and counter the weaknesses of being a goblin. Plus, I mean, in the monster races manual where you play as monster races, goblins are really good at fighting dirty. So his character was notorious for punching people in the dick. Like humanoids in the dick. Like, he was really good at it. As a matter of fact, when his goblin basically eventually got a name, he called it Dick Puncher. because basically all it did was punch people in the dick. It was kind of funny, really. Just punching people in the dick. But anyway, yeah. I mean, stuff like this kind of made the game more interesting. The person who was playing as a bugbear had some, who normally was not a tank, actually learned how to basically play as a tank and was good at it. So this kind of added some extra flavor, and the gamers actually did surprise me. They did things that weren't, the prototypical thing in the gameplay, which I thought was a really nice touch. So with that being said, those are DM examples. That's one DM example. I can't immediately think of another because I've had more chances of using the rejects when, like, I was playing a game with someone I knew, and I was like, well, let's try this because it's getting kind of stagnant, just playing as the same adventure over and over again. Playing the same characters over and over again. Sometimes you want to mix things up, and this is perfect for that. So I'll give you some examples from playing games where I've used a rejected character and actually had fun. So we'll get to that after the cut. So this is a big one. Basically, one of the big things that's always kind of stood out for me is I don't really throw away my character sheets. Like even characters that I am not particularly fond of, I keep the sheets. So one day I was playing a game where it was just a standard adventure, nothing too special about it. We weren't out saving the world or anything. And one of the big things was that we had to escort this girl from point A to point B for her wedding. It turns out there was some bigger shit going on, but we didn't know that. And so basically I played a former assassin turned bodyguard. Now typically, as everyone knows, I don't like playing as assassins or quote unquote evil characters. That's not my thing. But this time I was like, you know what? Why the hell not? So I played as a straight up old school style villain, and it actually was fun. Not a villain, but a former assassin turned bodyguard. And it actually worked. It was actually a fun and interesting thing going on. And I think that it, basically because it forced me to role play in a different way. Like, my character had to do certain things and play a certain way, and had certain perks that made him really good for certain things, not so good at others. And those strengths were totally against what I would normally play as, but it worked. And it was fun. It was engaging. There was a point in the game where, basically, these guys are trying to sneak up on us at night because we have to get into the city in order to deliver the bride to her wedding. And it turns out that they're sneaking on us at night. Now, because of the way this character was statted and the skills and abilities I had, they couldn't sneak up on me, and I caught and I reversed their surprise attack, and actually, we killed it was 7 dudes, and we killed 3 of them really quickly. and we had one to interrogate, and because my character was a former assassin, I totally had the interrogation skill, and, well, frankly speaking, it was I was not quite. I don't advocate torture, but this was a special circumstance. So it was just a very interesting experience. Another time, one time I was playing a game and I died, and I played as the village idiot brother of the character I made who died. And I was like, man, this character's gonna suck. He's kind of stupid. But really, his stupidity enabled me to play in a way where basically I'm just really ignorant and unaware, but Like I'm not bad. I'm just like, like, I'm doing the best I can, but this is just not working, you know. And it really it freed me up and let me play in a way that normally I would not be able to play a game. So these are just a few examples of how you can basically make a game more interesting for gamers. So with that being said, that's the end of this video. I'll tell you about upcoming events after the cut. So, that's the end of this video. We have a few events coming up this week. We have another episode of BS Busters this Sunday at 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have the Sci-Fi Power Hour-ish coming up this Saturday at 7 to 8 Eastern Standard Time. It might go a little bit longer. The topic of this Sci-Fi Power Hour will be Gojira in honor of the gentleman who passed away, who played Godzilla in so many films. So many films from 1954 onward. And his name is Mikao Fuki. Here, I don't want to butcher his name. I don't want to butcher the dude's name, so I'm gonna say it correctly because that's an asshole thing to do. Here, no, it's Haruo Nakajima. Haruo Nakajima is the gentleman who basically played this character, and he passed away recently, and he was like 84. I mean, he was kind of old, but I mean, he also played some other iconic roles. Like he played the King Kong for the Japanese version of King Kong, not the King Kong films from the 1970s, from the 60s and 70s done by Toho. I mean, like the King Kong film that is lost footage and has never been seen. Except for little bits and pieces of promotional material from Japan that came out in like 1933, like a few months after King Kong came out in the U.S. So, yeah. There you go. So that's those are the upcoming events. Actually, that's not just it. If you would like to be a part of the Godzilla Sci-Fi Power Hour panel, like you're a Godzilla fan, or you want to wax poetic about the King of all monsters, I'll leave a link in the description where you can leave your queries, and that's it. Peace.